And so that's why, like in the discussion, I have that based around that also. And the idea is really for you to think about the way that ways of choosing type and also developing typography, which is related to things like flavor. So for chocolate, it's very direct. Like we're doing something which is you want to have the typography should reflect the type of chocolate it is, right? So in that you watch the video of Sarah Hinman. So in that you remember the bit where she's talking about the fact that if she gave people sweets that were wrapped with type which was kind of jagged, that they felt that that candy was sourer, more sour. Whereas if she gave them type which was more rounded, that they viewed that sweet after they tasted it as being sweeter, right? So the
Yeah.
idea is that your typography is very subtly and psychologically changing the way people view that product. Does that make sense? You're I can't hear you again. It's weird.
You know,
Uh, yeah, I can hear a bit better now. Yeah. Sorry, say what you said again.
so it's kind of like when you're choosing the colors for the restaurant, right? So red and yellow makes people hungry, something like that.
Yeah, red and yellow are triggers for appetite. Yeah, like particularly in fast food because it's related to warmth, like fire. So it feels
Okay,
like
so this is
cooked food. It triggers that idea of cooked food. Yeah, so that relates to it absolutely. And then we'd also talked about the idea that typography can you can also think of it in terms of clothing. So different clothes serve a different purpose. Like if you wear workout gear, that's perfectly right if you're in that context. But if you're going to a party, it would probably be a bit weird. Like, and it doesn't really work in that context. So to a large extent, this idea of this assignment is trying to get you to understand how the typography can influence the way people see that chocolate bar. So here it says at the front of the package is like a book cover. It's generally the brand. And when, like in that first critique, one of the things I noticed, which is my problem for not explaining this properly, is that people are doing like one sketch of the front and one sketch of the back. But really, the idea of those sketches is for you to think about developing the story. So, what is this chocolate that you're designing? So here it says choose one of the following options: white chocolate bar for kids, brand name Cocoa Bliss, dark chocolate for a sophisticated palate, eco-friendly, ethically sourced chocolate. So each one, you're going to choose one of these, right? Do you understand
I
that?
chose the dark chocolate. Right.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I chose the dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Okay, yeah. So dark chocolate for a sophisticated palate. Name Noir Eclat. Tagline elegance in every bite. Noir means dark in French, evoking a refined and classic feel, while Eclat implies brilliance or radiance. This name targets a more upscale, sophisticated audience. So, did you do your sketches for this one already?
I didn't do the sketches. I did the mood board
You
for
did
the
the
mood
mood. Oh, yeah, yeah, I saw that. You submitted it today, I
board.
think, right? Yeah, yeah, okay. Let me have a look at your mood board then, real quick.
Yeah, and one more question. Do you think I will be able to make like a case study, but I won't have time?
Let me put my.
Never
I,
mind.
I still didn't quite get that. Sorry.
I was just thinking because I'm going to create a Pakistan at Friday, and I was thinking maybe I can somehow combine because I do have one project. I made the cereal box, but I didn't do the proper case study, so I'm working on that now. And I was
Uh-huh.
thinking maybe I can combine quickly that chocolate bar project to a case study and project present it with the Pakistan, but I don't think I will have
You don't think you'd have what, sorry?
enough time.
Oh,
Okay.
Alexa, turn the alarm off. Um,
Well, and honestly, I want to really,
so that's for a different class you're doing that, is it? Yeah. Do you think that that would save you time though, doing that? Oh, I can't hear you at all right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Something is wrong with my head.
Something with your head. Try it without your headphones. Can you do it
I
without you?
I
Are
will
you
not do it because I'm a
yeah, you're in a place where you can't do it. Yeah, yeah, okay.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I won't have time, but I will try to make this project in a good case study. Can I do it for like a quick study?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I will try to combine this project in like very good strong case study.
Uh-huh.
So
So, with the case study, what do you have to do?
basically whatever we're doing in your project, it's kind of like a case study. So we have to do mood board sketches and the color scheme.
Oh yeah,
That's
sure.
it.
You could do that. Yeah. So for this, you should be doing all those things. So you should be the other thing that the other part of this project is that for the name style, I want you to create a kind of custom piece of type.
I
So,
have a
r-
problem with that because
uh-huh,
I know what is the serif and sans serif photography, but when it comes to draw my actual letter,
uh-huh.
I'm stuck.
You don't necessarily have to draw them. You could take existing type and then modify it. So how well do you know Illustrator?
Very
Very well. Okay. Oh, that's good. So So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of getting started with this. And I'm going to do it in Illustrator to begin with. I'll be honest
maybe
with
if you
you.
can, yeah, maybe if you can give me some heads up how to start the photography.
Yeah,
You know,
sure. Yeah, 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 totally.
thank you
So,
so much.
because I'll be honest with you, I almost never do sketches for stuff like this. I do sketches for certain things, but I include it because it's part of the process. The mood board, in some ways, is perhaps more important. But in terms of developing it, you can think of this very similar to developing a logo, because that's really what you're doing. You're developing a name style or a logo type, which is going to represent this brand, right? So as you're doing that particular one, you go back to that for a second. So let's just design. So you're doing Noir Eclat.
I was thinking about
So the
dark.
first thing, sorry,
I was thinking about like dark brown and make
yeah,
it more.
sure. To begin with, what I want you to think about is purely the shapes of the letters. Okay. You can do an exploration by looking for particular fonts, but let's look at your mood board first of all and see what you're doing on that. See what things that you're referencing. I think if I remember rightly,
Honestly,
uh,
my mood board is very close to what I'm thinking to do, but
yeah,
I couldn't find like proper elegant typeface for the chocolate bar. So
yeah.
I combine whatever I think I can take a little bit
So
from whatever.
which of these would you say is closest to what you think it should look like?
And it's like either this one, the Multani Miti,
Sorry, which one?
Multani Miti, the very,
This one, protein bar.
that's good, that's good.
It's so hard because I can't really hear what you're saying.
The next
Say
to
again.
that, next to that.
This one.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So this one, it has a richness about it, right? Which I think is in keeping with the idea of this. It's the colors are also fairly sophisticated. So in terms of color, if you're trying to represent sophistication, generally that means moving away from primary colors or very, very bright colors and choosing colors which are a little bit more muted. So that's in keeping with that. It also it talks about the idea of brilliance and radiance. So it has like on this packaging, it has there's some gold elements in there which sort of reflect that idea of brilliance, something shiny. So if you wanted to, if we wanted to start with this, mul so I'm going to make a screen capture of just this part of it.
If you, I'm sorry, Jack, if you can scroll up,
Uh-huh.
I mean down, next
Oh,
page. Yeah, this one.
yeah.
You see the second one next to the one top with,
This
yeah,
one? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. All right.
and
So
then this one just,
I'm going to start with the type.
okay.
So first of all, we can when we're in Illustrator, if you go to the character panel, uh, so my character panel is right here. Obviously, we can choose from different fonts, and as you scroll down, you can see them change, right? So one thing you could do to begin with is just take this piece of type
With any font.
and then duplicate it. Well, you're looking for typefaces that you feel might fit with this idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking because of this idea of sophistication, that you could do something which is a modern style serif typeface. So this would be something like Bodoni. Let me see if I have a Bodoni on here.
Like the done.
So Bedonia is a typeface, and we also might want to play around with should it be upper and lowercase or should it be capitals? So if I take this piece of type and then I go to type and I choose change case, uppercase. Now, also when you're doing uppercase like this, because there's so many verticals involved in it, I might open up the tracking. So the tracking, remember, is this setting right here. But you can also do Option right arrow to open up the space between all of the letters. So even that, to some extent, is customizing the type. I am looking for a little bit more than that, probably, but that in itself. And so the idea, what I'm really trying to encourage you to do, and this is what I would always encourage in any kind of design process, is the idea of iterations. Duplicate it, and then what would make it different? So another thing I would always try is what does it look like if it's in negative? So if I was to put this into a black box and make this type white, it changes the nature of that a little bit. Now it's a contained unit, like within that space. And that space isn't necessarily that. It could be that I duplicate it again. And the reason for duplicating it rather than simply changing it is I want to be able to look back at what I've done previously and see if it is actually any better. So I can compare and contrast different ideas or different versions along the way. So maybe here, I'm just adding a point. I'm on the pen tool, by the way, and I have that shape selected. It only works if the shape's selected. But if I'm on the pen tool and I put my cursor over a selected path, it becomes the add anchor points tool. So if I click right here, I can add a point, and then I'm holding command on the. Are you on a Mac or a PC?
A mask.
A Mac. So if I hold command, if you were on a PC, you'd hold control. But I can then drag these 2 points out a little bit. So none of this is saying this is what the logo should look like, by the way. All I'm doing is talking about the process. So the process is duplicate it and then try a different version. So you might then go over here and go, there might be some other fonts that I want something which is sophisticated, but maybe you want it to have more of a kind of contemporary feel. So maybe something like this font right here. Not that one. What was it? I had one then that would have worked. I lost it. Uh, oh, maybe this one. No, this one. So this is a variable width font. Do you know about variable width fonts? Do you understand the idea of it? Okay, so the variable width font, the advantage of it is that you can see that this has a massive family, right? So this is all the same font now. So they've got in this same font, obviously variable. It's got compressed thin. compressed thin. So compressed means that this way it's very narrow. And it's designed to be that way because you could squash a piece of type, but that changes the proportions. This is designed to be this way. And then the other thing you'll notice that what next to this, it has this variable font icon. So if you click on that, you can then make adjustments to this type. So rather than choosing a different weight, I can actually just make it wider. And I can also change the weight of the font on a sliding scale, you know.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know about the picture.
And then with the italics, I'm going to push this back so it's not italicized at all. And then I'm going to do type change case. And let's actually duplicate this one. So once I've got that one, I'm then going to select this and I'm going to change this to capitals. Again, I'll open the spacing up a little bit. Let's make this a bit smaller. So this is a sans serif typeface, but it has some little peculiarities in it, like the way that the C starts to come back on itself, the way that this is very narrow in here. Also, if you look carefully, there's actually a little bit of a splay. So if I put a guide there, the tops are at the top and the bottom of this is not straight. It's actually got a little bit of a curve to it, right? So it's very subtle, and this is one of the things about type is that it's oftentimes very subtle, the difference. But I feel like that gives it a certain kind of elegance to it, you know. So the first step, I think, is for really to play with type. You might also explore, like in terms of creating custom type, which is one of the things I really want you to think about on this, is that I could then create outlines. So in Illustrator, if you do Shift Command O, this will be Shift Control O on a PC. It converts that type. So this is type and then create outlines. It's grayed out right now because I don't have type selected. By doing that, now what you end up with are these letter forms that you can manipulate as shapes. This one is doing something kind of funny, actually. The way that they made these, it has a funny overlap here, and this is not actually connected. So I'm going to select these, and I'm going to use Pathfinder. Window Pathfinder. Do you know about Pathfinder in Illustrator?
Yeah.
So
But
I can,
find that it's confusing me.
I'm sorry.
I know how to use Pathfinder, but
Yeah.
it's honestly confusing me all the time. So I have to actually put my cursor on it and see which one is what, or just trial it.
So here, the reason I'm using Unite is that this shape is separate. And then also these overlaps here, I don't really want those in there because they overcomplicate it. So if I select over it and unite it, it'll get rid of all that. And that becomes one shape. And then same here, like this has got a weird little bit that they're using to make a
I
connection.
don't know
Oh,
how to make it like that.
well, the pen is going up there, and it might be something to do with it being a variable width, so it has some play, like when they stretch it. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, why they make it like that, but I want to get rid of that. So if I hit unite, that will then become just one shape. So any of these, like this one here, the letter A, I'll unite it. The letter L, because it's got a little corner here, I'll unite it. And then this I'll unite. So now I can modify these letters. So for instance, I might want to add to this letter. Maybe I want to have this R become a piece that comes underneath here. So we could do this a couple of ways, but I'm just going to do it by drawing a shape over the top, and then we'll unite them. So I want to make sure the R is not selected.
It
And
can't
then
say, right?
I'm on the pen tool yet. So I'm putting my cursor on here. I have smart guides on, which is view, and then smart guides. Where is it?
Right there. Down, down. Yes,
You have
up
smart
next.
guides. So smart guides is on. The keyboard shortcut for that, by the way, is Command U.
On
So you can turn the smart guides on or off by doing Command U. That means that when I put my cursor on this path, it tells me that I'm on the path. So that way I know that I can connect very confidently with it. And then I can continue. I'm going to try and create a curve here. This is
So
tricky.
when
I
you're
want,
on the plus, it should be bluish, right?
it should be what, sorry?
The letter has to change the color to the blue, right? When you're on the top.
I just,
Yeah, right there, like that.
yeah. So what did you say about changing it to blue?
When you're putting the cursor and you know you are on the pot, it has to
Oh,
indicate the blue.
actually, so when you're on the path, it'll actually say, like here is on the anchor point. So there I'm on that anchor point. It tells me that it's on the anchor point, and it is highlighting in blue. That's true, actually. I hadn't noticed that, but it does. So then when I click here, I know it's exactly on that path, right? And then I can go here. I'm lining those handles up. So I'm dragging it as well. So I click and drag. I'm lining that handle up with the angle of that R so that the curve comes off of that accurately. And then I want to pull that to make a shape which fits. Now, where this is actually going to go, I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to have it go across to here. Now, this distance from here to here should be, I think, the same as this crossbar here. So for now, I'm just going to draw it and then I can fix it afterwards. So I'm going to come across to here. And then I'm going to go back up and then reconnect to the letter R up here. All right, so this looks like I went a little bit long here. So I'm going to make a rectangle from here to here so that I can gauge that width. And then I'm going to bring this down to here. And I can use this to position that other part of it. Something like that. And then I can see now visually that this curve needs to pull a little bit further over. You can nudge it, of course, with the keys on the keyboard as well. So I went too far down. So this can take a little bit of refining to get it to be in exactly the right position, in the same way as like designing a piece of type in the first place requires a lot of subtle changes to get it to be exactly how you want it. Because you want to make sure that that curve really feels like it's flowing through there. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is that you want to use as few points as possible. So you notice I have a point here and here. I have a point here because it's coming down, and then it starts to go flat. So that's why I have a point at that particular position. And then same here. So this is coming along. I add a point because it's going up there. So those anchor points are called anchor points because they're anchoring the shape into place, right? If you have too many anchor points, you'll end up with a path that looks kind of jittery or nervous or like a little bit distorted. So to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about that, but I just wanted to show you technically how you would go about doing that. And it may be that I make another version and go, well, now that I have that part of it, maybe this part could tuck into there. And rather than have it separated, rather than separating it through that space, we could separate it also through color. So for right now, I'm not really thinking about color, but just to indicate that, I'll make it a different gray so that we would still see them as separate words, you know? So this
Or
is the
maybe
idea.
make or maybe make the E even bigger in the middle.
You could do something like that. I generally wouldn't advise making the E bigger because the problem with that is that when you scale this piece of type, you're going to scale the thickness of the type as well as the type. And it always feels a little bit awkward, you know. There are what are called small caps fonts, which have a small cap and a big cap. But if you do a fake small cap, it always looks a little bit weird. It might be that you also decide that this curve that comes off, so I'll make another version, that maybe it doesn't need to be hard at the end. Maybe it comes to a point. So this is perhaps too pointy, but maybe it's more like a kind of brush stroke or something like that, you know. where it flows off. So I took off one of the anchor points and then reshaped it. So to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about either of those options, but I wanted to, the idea is to explore different possibilities. All right. So it could be that we even go further with it. Let me take this one. And I'm going to have this now extend all the way to here. In fact, we can just take this. We don't need to draw another rectangle. I can use the direct selection tool here, and I can just drag this along. Then I want another one that comes up from this point. So I'm going to draw another square right here. I'm holding shift so that it stays as an exact square. And then I've got Smart Guide, so it tells me when I hit the path. And then I'm going to drag this point up to here. So that basically I'm creating a frame around the outside. Might actually need to go a little bit further over than that, to be honest with you. It'll be out to about there. Okay, and then I'll put another one on this side. And then this piece right here is part of the R, but I can cut it. So I'm going to cut it with the knife tool. To cut a straight line with the knife tool, I have to hold shift and option. And it doesn't really matter where I cut it because I'm going to change the length of it anyway. I just need to cut this curve off. And then I can use this part at the top to complete the frame. So I think it should probably go up about there because I need to miss that aggrave accent on the E. Or maybe it actually breaks at that point. So I would put another one here. And then this one, I would want it to be a little bit shorter. And maybe out to, say, there. And this should line up with that other one. This actually is not quite straight, so I'm going to straighten this up as well. So here, where this curve comes down, I want it to come down just a little bit more. And then this one, I can take these points and move it across to here. And this edge here could actually have this curve reflected in it. Like I could cut this shape so it emulates that shape. Maybe it needs to be a little bit closer for that to work. But if I brought this to here, I could take this curve, put it over the top like that, select both of them, and do minus front. This one needs to come up. So I did object, arrange, bring to front so that I make sure that this shape is in the front and then minus front. So that way this echoes that. And then if I join these together, so I join it here, I join it here, I join it here using the unite in Pathfinder, I think this one too. So this is all one shape. There's some extra anchor points here that I don't want. So there's one here and there's one there. That way, because those all stop me when I try to curve this, but now I can curve these together. Now, actually, the one on the inside needs to curve less. So I can pull that one back in. Otherwise, it doesn't really fit with the other curve. So if we take this one and I select it, at the top in the control bar, so I need to be on the direct selection tool. We want to find where it says the corner size. So here it's 2.622. To make it a more even number, I'm just going to make it 2.5. And then I'm going to do the same here. So take off any anchor points I don't need. And then I'm going to set this to 2.5. It's actually 0.25. No, maybe it is 2.5. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
So I could create like another option would be to create like a frame that connects to the type. I'm looking for different possibilities really of how that type could represent this product. Give me one sec. Does that help? And then in terms of the chocolate bar itself, so it could be that particularly as the idea of this is that it's a very sophisticated package, that it could be very minimal. Like if you think of like luxury brands like Chanel or brands like that, they tend to have a kind of fairly minimal approach to the way that they present themselves. So I would probably do something which is relatively minimal. So if you just rough out a package front, I'm going to make another artboard now.
Will you provide us mocha or you want us to find a mocha?
Say that again.
Will you provide us with mock-up and template, or you want us to figure it out?
Yeah, I did give you some mock-ups, but I will give you some other ones as well. Yeah.
And a
Yeah,
template?
eventually I want you to make a mock-up of this to show it like a 3D view of it. But for
Mhm.
now, I just want you to do it flat. I want you to design the front of it. And then also you will design the back, but you don't need to worry about the back for right now because the back is really going to be very functional. It'll be things like the nutritional facts, ingredients. It's really about organizing that information in the space.
I think
Whereas
I always had some nutritional facts from previous from the previous.
I still didn't get that very well.
Sorry.
It's
I
okay.
I think I still have some nutritional facts from the previous project. I can just utilize.
You think you have a good idea now of what to do?
No, I do have a nutritional fact from my previous project. I can use that.
Oh, so I'm going to add a bit of color. I would generally suggest, by the way, that when you're doing this, that you start with just black and white because you can then focus on the shapes and so on. So, like particularly with logo design, I always encourage students to start with black and white, and then you can add the color in afterwards. And oftentimes, even with projects like this, it can be a good idea simply to start with a black and white framework. So you're not having to worry about the color. You're just focusing on the information that needs to go on there, how it's organized, and so on. And then you can get into the color later. But that, to some extent, is obviously a personal decision. It might help you in terms of getting to where you want to get to actually add the color as you go along. So that's up to you, all right? But that's my suggestion is you could try just doing it in black and white, kind of like I was doing here, where I'm just using grays to represent the idea that there's a shift in color. But I will add some color into this one. So I'm going to choose one which I think has a possibility.
John, question.
Uh-huh.
Actually, two questions. Uh, do you want us to do logo or you want just logo as a type? Because just how you do it, it can be logo.
It is effectively like a logo. So the there are different types of logos. Most logos that you see are what are called combination logos, which are a combination of some kind of a symbol and then the name of the company. And the name of the company is done in a particular font or it's done in a particular style. So not just the font, sometimes it's actually a custom, even when they look very minimal, it might actually be very customized. So they've adjusted spacing between it, but they've even sometimes modified couple of the letter forms slightly. But you have a kind of a piece of type which has been very carefully honed for that particular thing. So this is effectively a logo. It's just not like generally people think of logos as being a symbol, whether it's pictorial or abstract. But actually, a word mark is a type of logo. So and sometimes it's just initials, like IBM is just initials. That's their logo, right?
So you
And
want a wood mark.
I want a word mark. And I want you to think about the typography of this and how it expresses the quality of what it is that you're doing. So in this case, you're creating a sophisticated brand. It would be very different than making a chocolate that's aimed at kids. Because when it's aimed at kids, it wants to be rounded and colorful and sugary feeling. Whereas this, it wants to feel like there's an
Fun.
elegance about it. Yeah. So here's some other suggestions. You can think about sh abstract shapes as a way to form visual interest. One example would be if I draw a square over the top of this, and then I rotate it. So I'm just putting my cursor in the corner now, and I rotate it like this. And I'm going to make this shape black. And I only want it to show up where the chocolate bar is. So I'm going to send these to back so the type's in front. So I'm going to make a copy of the chocolate bar and I'm going to paste it in the front. So Shift Command V is paste in place. You could also do Command F would do the same thing. Command F is paste in front. So this is edit, paste in front. I actually did paste in place, Shift Command V, but either one of those. So that I have a rectangle which sits over the top. And then I'm going to select this square and this rectangle. And I'm going to do Object Clipping Mask Make. Why is that? Try that again. Oh, actually, this one isn't there. Shift Command V. So select these and then Command 7 is the keyboard shortcut. So this has brought this to the top now, actually, because I had the black square, the rectangle above, but I just sent it to back. So you could do something like this. Now I see it like this, I might want to make this smaller. So I'm going to scale it. Holding Option allows me to scale it towards the center. So I think it might work better like this. And then you could also use pattern. So here's a couple of suggestions. Like if we were to take this shape and I copy it and paste it in back, and then I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. So I'm going to scale it 110%. And I'm going to lower the opacity on this. Let's make this 70%. That's not enough. Let's make it 50%. And I think it needs to scale more. So let's scale it again. Still not enough of a difference. Let's make this 20%. You could create things which radiate out from it. Like I could do copy pasting back. So I did Command C, Command B. Now I've got another one behind that. And then I could scale this one further. So that it starts to create this idea of sort of radiate. Now, if we did it the other way around, where this is light, and it's gradually like it almost creates like a blur going out from it, but without it being so soft. It has a kind of graphic quality to it. This starts to hint at, do you know what Art Deco is? Do you have an
Yes.
understanding of Art Deco? So Art Deco oftentimes uses zigzags or graphic representations that become kind of decorative. Like most modernist movements actually avoid decoration, but not so much with Art Deco. Art Deco tends to encourage decoration. So you could also make a pattern in Illustrator like this. I'm going to make a square, and I'm going to make the square the same background color. And then I want to create a series of little diamond shapes all over it. So I'm going to make a copy of this, paste it in front, and rotate it. So I've got a diamond shape. And I'm going to scale it so it fits inside here exactly. And I'm going to change this so that it's a stroke. And I'll make it black. Now, the stroke actually goes, by default, it goes either side of the shape. So the edge of this stroke, although this is very slight, will be sticking out. And I don't want that because otherwise it will create a white gap in the pattern. So I'm going to change in the stroke panel right here, I'm going to change it so that it's going to the inside of the shape like that. So that way the stroke is right inside that shape. Now if I select this and I go to Object and I choose Pattern and I choose Make, I then have a repeat pattern of that. I'll go ahead and press OK. And you could modify that by using this section here as well. So grid by row would throw that like this. Grid by column would throw it like this. You can also adjust this blue square right here. So if I choose this at the top of the pattern options, we could bring this further out and it would separate them. Or you could bring it in so that they're overlapping. Have you used this tool before to make patterns? I can't hear you at all right now.
Maybe one to
Uh-huh.
gonna
Okay.
play around with that.
Yeah, but it can be very useful. So look at these different options. Like here, you've got options for how they offset, third, three quarters, a quarter, and so on. So once you're happy with it and you've offset, I'm going to offset this by a half actually. And then let's also, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it has some more space. But I'm also going to take the shape of that rectangle and make it fit into there. Okay, and then once I'm happy with it, I can just hit done. That'll store that in the swatches panel. So if I select this shape in the background now, I can then change it to that pattern. So it should be that one right there. And I put it into the stroke. It should be in there. Now, once I've created that, I actually want it to be much smaller so that it's less obvious. So I'm going to select the scale tool, double click on the scale tool. I'm going to take off where it says transform objects. So it's not changing the shape of the object, but it is transforming the pattern. So I'm going to set this to say 20%. Now what you have is a very small pattern. And a smaller pattern would feel more sophisticated than a big pattern. A big pattern might work for kids because it has energy and but if you have a small pattern, and also the fact that it's relatively low contrast. So if you wanted it to be less, so the low contrast means that the difference between it being the darkness of the color in the background and that stroke isn't great compared to, say, this piece of type, which is very light compared to the background. So if you wanted to make it even less contrasty, you can always double click on the swatch and you could then go in and you could edit it. So I could decide to make this, instead of having it be black, I could have it be that color, which I need the eyedropper. I could have it be that brown color, but then just make it a little bit darker. And I would have to change the stroke here because it went back to being, oh, actually the stroke is now on, it's now a fill for some reason. So let's save that, hit done. So now you have a more subtle version of it. So those are just suggestions. And what you want to do is try like a couple of different approaches. So that's one of the things I'm always trying to encourage with students is like, don't do one, like duplicate it and then try a different version. So we could take this one. It also has a piece of text that goes along with this. So if we go back to the assignment for a second, where do I have that? Unless I closed it out.
What we need to do for the chip tray, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
And that's what we need to do for worksheet 3.
Oh no, worksheet three is this is for project three. Okay. So project three is the creative project. Do you want me to go over worksheet three?
Yes, please.
Okay. I had meant to make you a new video for this, but I haven't had a chance. But I will maybe have time this week. So we'll see how it goes. But basically, what you're doing is there's this PDF. So if you download this PDF,
I actually downloaded the PDF, but I couldn't. It's downloaded as a PDF. I couldn't like play around with it.
you won't be able to edit it. So you're going to open this file. This is for reference, okay? So on this page, this is just an introduction. If I go to the next page, no, it's hang on, it's lagging. Give me a sec. I might have to quit out some things. Yeah, I got so many things open. Give me a sec. I'll get rid of some stuff in. Let's see what's in Camtasia. Oh, that's okay. I can quit that. That should help.
So,
Okay. So
do you like, hello? Hello?
do you what, sorry?
Do you mind if I was
Sure, sure. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. You're going to leave for a minute?
back?
Okay. Hi.
Can you hear me? Sorry
Yeah,
about it.
I can hear you
Yeah.
now. That's okay. All right, just get.
Okay.
I'm just finish this message. Hang on one sec.
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right. Okay. Let me go back to the assignment again. Oh, actually, let me just go back to this. So, on this sheet, there is three sections. Okay. So the first one, what you're going to do is you're going to play with the appearance panel to modify type. You get 2 points for this one. Okay. And you're actually going to choose two of these to do.
One
So,
second. I can't hear you. 1 second.
okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I don't understand why my
No.
headphones disconnected.
I can hear you actually. No?
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Are you at school? Hello?
Wendy, can you hear
Hello?
me?
Hello? Can you hear me? No?
I can't hear you.
No? Are you
Can you
connected
hear me
via
now?
Bluetooth? No.
Hold on.
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Can
I
you
have
can you hear
Wendy.
me?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, great. I can hear you better now.
Ah, sorry
These
about that. I think I have to change my headphones.
Yeah, these headphones are better. All right, cool. All right, so
Okay.
on the play with on this first one, play with appearances. You're going to choose two of these to do, okay? So make a word, perhaps one that you would use for your chocolate bar. So you could use the name of your chocolate bar if you want for this. Uh,
Okay.
it, the exercises I'm having you do, to be honest, probably won't help you that much with your particular chocolate bar, to be honest with you, because of the kinds of exercise I'm having you do it, but it might be. So this
Mhm.
first one is, have you ever worked with the appearance panel in Illustrator to create effects like this?
Um,
Let me show you what I mean. Okay. So I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna
maybe if you
create
show me, I will remember.
yeah, I'll create a piece of type. So we'll just take this one. Oops. And I'll make it black again. Actually, I'm gonna make it for this exercise, I'm gonna make it a little bolder. Okay, so if I go to the appearance panel in Illustrator, where is that? Here it is. I can add appearances to this, like I can add offsets and so on to create different effects, you know?
Oh, it's kind of like effect in Photoshop.
A little bit like the effects in Photoshop, yeah. So you can make offsets of things, you can create drop shadows and so on. I'm gonna actually just unite all of this. I have outlined the type now because it's a little easier to work with, but you can actually do it whilst it's still type. Window appearance. Keep
Right there.
keep losing it. Here we go. So you see how in here I've got a stroke and then I've got a fill, and then I can add additional fills. So if I wanted to create an outline around the outside of this or multiple outlines, I could have a stroke, which I'm actually going to put underneath the fill, and then I'll make this one black. So then you can adjust the size of that. But you can also have
I have a,
you can
I
also
have a
have
question. Sorry.
That's
I have a
okay.
question about stroke. Some of the instructors doesn't like strokes. So
On
they
type.
said it, yeah, it
Yeah.
says it makes kind of cheap look.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
can
yeah.
I make it look more rich and expensive,
Yeah,
but at
yeah,
the
yeah.
same time like pop?
Well, they're right. That's a good point, actually. So generally speaking, with type, it's not a good idea to put a stroke around a piece of type. And I'll tell you what, people tend to do it as a way to make something stand out. But you're much better off doing it as a way to you're much better off using contrast. So like putting light type against a dark background or dark type against a light background is always much better than putting a stroke. But there are exceptions. So this particular instance where you're making a chocolate bar, I don't think that this would be necessarily appropriate for yours, for instance. But let's say you're trying to create a piece of type that represents like Victorian graphics.
Mhm.
In Victorian graphics, they oftentimes had very decorative type.
I'm not familiar with Victorian graphics.
So they tend to be kind of ornate, you know?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So the Victorian period is the end of the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
It's the reign of Queen Victoria in England is where it spans basically. But the at the end of the Victorian period, the end of the 1800s, is where modernism really starts to germinate with things like impressionist paintings, and then also in terms of design, there's a movement called Plakatstil, which is a German term which means poster style, which is
How
really
is it
about
called?
Plakatstil.
Or
Actually,
cars
actually, Americans usually say Plackensteel,
rock still. Oh,
Plackensteel, but it's a German word, and in German it's pronounced Plakatstil,
okay.
which means poster style. So plakat is poster, steel is
Oh,
poster
plakat still.
style.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So plakat steel. And so
We
those,
call it plakat too.
yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you look at plakat steel, it's much simpler. Plakat, I can't spell it then. Plakat steel. So like
Yeah.
these examples where they strip it down basically to sometimes they're called product posters as well, where it's just a simple illustration of a product and then the name of the product. This is a very famous one. This one, which was entered into a competition for
Ooh.
Priester matches, and the story that I've heard about this poster is that it started off. He had a poster that had an illustration of a pipe smoking on a table with an ashtray and matches and everything. And then he gradually took away everything that he didn't think was necessary and ended up with this. But it was very radical at that time because this is really the same era as Victorian graphics like this, you know. So if you're trying to emulate Victorian graphics, you see how this type has like little pattern inside it? So
Hmm.
like little
Which is
tiny
barely
dots.
visible. Honestly,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't tell me, I wouldn't even notice that there is a pattern.
Right. It's very subtle, but they loved pattern in Victorian period. They loved pattern and complexity and detail and
I
all of that
really
sort of thing.
like this Coco what is this, the label? What's
This one
the
here, yeah, this is a
yeah.
label. Yeah, so these are all labels,
Oh, it's
and
so pretty cool.
these do have. I think that they could be. You could use that style to represent that idea of sophistication, that level of complexity. You know, there's a certain sophistication about that level of complexity and detail and pattern. You know, it kind of harks back to uh, royalty and very ornate kind of living quarters where they had beautiful wallpaper and that type of thing.
Mhm.
Going
That's
back to the
pretty.
worksheet for a second. So the idea
Uh-huh.
of this exercise is for you to explore the appearance panel and
Hmm.
to play around with making different types of effects. So you can also do transform settings. Like if I do, I don't remember how to do this now, actually. I'm going to make a duplicate of this.
So I can get any type thing, any form, just play around with it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's purely a technical exercise for the worksheet. I don't ju
Basically.
On the worksheets, I never grade worksheets based on design. They're
Uh-huh.
only graded on the fact that you did it and it's a technical exercise, like doing this, doing this, doing this, you know? So in
It's
this case,
basically what you showed me in the beginning, right? On the typeface thing, how we can modify
well,
fonts.
that is one of them. This one is particularly to do with the appearance panel. So,
Ah,
like I can do transforms on it. Window. Let me go to the properties for a second.
and I need only three, right?
Sorry.
I need only three.
So in this exercise, let me go back to the PDF again. I'm going to make a
Mhm.
video for this for the class because I think that a lot of
Thank
people
you so
use
much.
it. So
And
there's
I'm so sorry, I'm asking so many
no, no,
questions.
no,
It
no,
just
no. I
I'm
would
trying to
rather you ask me
understand.
the questions. I
Thank
want you to
you.
ask me the questions.
Thank
So
you so
on
much.
here, there's 2 points for this one. There's 10 points total. So you're going to choose two from this. Okay. You're going to do two different exercises with the appearance panel. Multiple strokes fills adding offsets under transform and so on. So in transform, we can offset it multiple times. So you create something where it looks kind of like it's 3D. Hang on a second. I don't know why it's not doing it with a keyboard, but so there's a couple of different examples, and it's got patterns inside of it and so on. And then also working with the mesh tool. Have you used the mesh tool at all?
It's the
Uh,
warp one, right?
Envelope distort. So envelope, it could be the mesh tool, it could
Oh,
be one of the other ones. But so if you take a piece of type and I go to object and I then go to envelope distort, there are some pre-built make with warp, which you can use to bend type. You can also choose from various different options in there. So you can make it like a flag. But another option is to choose object, envelope distort, make with mesh. This will put a
um,
mesh over the surface.
I've never worked with mesh. I've usually worked with make on top,
Oh,
which
okay,
is,
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Make with top,
honestly,
make with top object.
yeah, but honestly, I don't know what am I doing wrong with that because every time I can at the end, I remind me I can show you my logo I made with
Uh-huh.
Chiga for my
Okay.
friend, and she loves the logo. I don't because I think it's not cleaned up and it's
Uh-huh.
not
Do you want to
accurate
share
and
your
it's
screen and show it to me?
yes, yes, let's do that. Give me 1 second. Let me figure out how to do that. Oh, right here. Okay,
Yeah,
let me find this
I
for
can see
you
it. Yeah.
because thank you so much. Yeah, because she loves the logo, and I am as a designer thinking that I could do much better, but apparently, um, not this. Oh, this one. You see?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Let me find the Illustrator file so I can show you actually. Yeah, this one.
Okay, yeah. Can you give
You
it to
see
me?
it?
Can you send it
Oh
to me?
yes.
You can send it to me in the chat, actually.
I've
You might have to
honest
stop sharing.
stop sharing. How can I
Yeah.
stop sharing, by the way? Oh, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've tried last time to send you do you want to illustrate a file?
Yeah.
Okay,
So you're going to go
so
down to the chat section on the right-hand
uh,
side. And you can
Okay.
see a series of icons. One is format, one is an
File.
emoji, then it's file.
Uh-huh.
Click there and then browse on your computer for the file.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm trying to keep myself organized, but still it's hard to find anything in my hard drive.
Yeah, there's so much stuff usually.
I know, right?
I'm pretty organized, but I sometimes find it difficult to find things.
It's hard. It's hard. And thank you so, so, so much, John. And I'm sorry, I'm always submitting stuff very late, but this semester is pretty crazy.
I understand. I'm struggling to keep up myself, to be honest with you.
I sent it to
So I
you.
understand.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to
I
share my
honestly
screen.
wish, yeah, I honestly wish I would take your class in person, but just because I'm graduating soon and I need to be on
You
time,
know what?
I
This
had to
is,
take it off.
I never teach in person admission
Oh,
because
really?
I live in Orange County for one thing. But
I am in Orange County right
are
now.
you? Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. So
Yeah.
I did teach at Orange Coast College. Where in Orange County are
Oh
you?
my gosh. I don't even know. My fiance doing air conditioning. He's a
Oh,
HVAC
you
guy.
mean just today you're in Orange County?
Yeah, I actually pretty often here because all his customers mostly here.
Oh,
So I'm
right.
gonna tell you where exactly I am. That's so funny. Um, I am in Paramount.
Paramount. Oh, I actually
Yes.
don't know where that is.
It's somewhere here, yeah.
All right, okay.
But yeah.
So
So
yeah, I can
here's
see what you mean. So on these, you're distorting them with make with top object, right?
yeah. So I don't know how to clean this up
Yeah.
because
So
I think it's pretty
what I
messy.
think you need to do is you need to expand all that. So
Mhm.
I'm making a duplicate, and then I'm going to go to object expand. So this will get rid of the envelope distort, and it will just give you those shapes. And
Object
then
expand. Okay.
yeah, so like here it's awkward the way that that fits here, I think.
Hmm.
I want to see connections always. So like this, the fact that this angle is different, it feels a little bit awkward. So we could pull, maybe this needs to come a little bit further this way, like
Hmm.
that. And then it's also funny to me that this comes out so straight. Like this is coming here, but I feel like this should have a little bit of a curvature to it. So like here, for instance, if I pull this up a little bit, it doesn't have to be very much, but something so it's not such a straight line because it's
Hmm.
going into something which is a more rounded form,
Right.
And like this line here, where you have these letters, what you could do is
Hmm.
draw a line with the pen tool, which goes the flow that you want to create. So these should really flow following the same cap height, I think. So if you were to draw a line, something like this, and then make a guide out of it, Command 5, you could then adjust these shapes to kind
Did
of
you do
fit.
Command 5?
Yeah, Command 5. So this is view,
Hmm.
guides, make guides, Command 5.
Hmm.
Okay. So then, like here, for instance, I think that this part here needs to come lower. So I could pull
Hmm.
this down a little bit. And then you might even do another line here, where these line up so that you have through that whole section that they line up with each other. And same here, like this should flow. That was not so bad actually, but you see how this one, it's at a different position than this one. If I was to draw a line from here, and actually it wants to go from here maybe, and I go through here,
Yeah, that's
the,
much better.
this flow should be consistent, I think, throughout there. So this letter here, you want to pull this down maybe to about here, and this one to about here, and
Yeah,
this
it
one,
already looks better.
right? So get that to flow through there. I'm not sure about this bit. Where this straight edge feels weird to me. Maybe this needs to come back a little bit so there's a little bit more in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
And maybe this needs to curve a little bit. This curve as well, I might even round that off a little bit more so it's not quite
Mhm.
sharp there. What does it say? Beef
Be fierce.
beef eaters.
Be fierce.
Fears. Beef fears. So it's Befierser.
SE. Yeah.
So this is
Sorry,
an
not S. CE.
CE. Okay,
CE.
okay. CE. These bits to me kind of confuse it because I feel like it's part of the letter form. Like this bit here, particularly. And this is an E? No, this is a what is that letter? S.
It's R.
Oh, it is an R. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes more sense.
So yeah, because it's mushed,
Yeah, like I think I'd get this to pull back a little bit here.
that's
The,
the
the,
thing. I
the,
didn't
other,
like
the
how
other
it
thing I want to
feels.
show you is on the actual shapes, like these shapes, are you aware of the fact that you can manipulate these? You
No.
can pull, you can, so you're putting this shape over the top to change its shape,
Mhm.
but you can
Uh-huh.
also readjust it, right? You can take these handles and readjust them. You can take this point and readjust it. So before you expand it, the other one I've expanded, so it's just shapes,
That
but
was
here,
actually my first time using the um I forgot-
the envelope,
yeah.
uh-huh, make with top object.
Mhm.
So like you could still refine this. In fact, I would start with this way probably because you could probably get fairly close. You would have still, I still think you'd probably need to expand them. So this one here
Mhm.
is in front, so I have to lock it. I did Command 2. That way I can select this one and move that one around. And I'm
Which one
using
is shortcut for local? Command.
Command 2. So this is Object, Lock Selection, Command 2. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, I would do Unlock All. And for some reason, this Option Command 2 no longer works.
Oh wow.
Oh, no, it did. It hadn't
Oh
been
wow.
working for a while, but now it's working again. But I'll lock that anyway. So like here, for instance, I think I would pull this back a little bit, pull this curve a little bit less, pull this in a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? And then it gives you that control over the shapes.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to feel a little bit better, like where they're connecting. This bit right here, where it goes in, I might have
Yeah,
that
I think the R
filter.
is the worst one
Yeah,
for
this
some
one's
reason.
very difficult to read. So like here,
And the last E also.
this one I might wait until it's expanded to do most of the adjustments, to be honest with you. But this feels like it should curve up a little bit. It's this part in here that I think really throws it.
Yeah, I don't know why is it like that.
I might even take that point out if I can. Maybe it won't let me take it out.
Is there any way, by the way,
Uh-huh.
instead of let's say type, put through envelope on top, let's say to manipulate the typeface or font like we did previously,
Hmm.
and then use that one on top of the object like this. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay, so you see, sorry, you see
Okay.
how awkward are these letters?
Yeah.
So let's say if I was using something different, maybe
You mean a different illustration, like rather than a
different font.
different font. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you think it's gonna be the same way because I'm basically using a cheetah vector
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and then putting the words on top of the cheetah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so you're saying, do you think it would work better using a different typeface?
Yeah.
Possibly, but I think it's really to do with uh it's to do with manipulating it. The one thing about this typeface is it has this space here. So
Hmm.
that compromises legibility. And because you're bending it and so on, it's compromising the legibility anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that on the R shape, this main body of the R needs to stay somewhat consistent. So that this top part, I'll do it on this one. I think that this part right here should follow that same line through here.
Yeah.
So this part here would probably be where this downstroke ends.
And
Yes.
maybe not that compressed, maybe a little bit more expanded.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
that's much better.
I
That
put
looks
this
much
here, and
better.
then this space gets very squashed here, right? Like
Yeah.
where that this bit also like here, I feel like this serif needs to come further out.
Hmm. I think it just also have too many anchor points.
Yeah, like some of these anchor points I would take out. This one, like here, it's a squared off anchor point now, but really this one
Hmm.
should be rounded. So if I hold Option, I have the anchor point tool. I can then redo that one. Let's bring that one down a little bit. And
Hmm.
then here you've got probably an extra point that we don't really need. This bit, I feel like it needs to come out a little bit further.
Yeah, to be a little bit more roundy. Yeah.
Yes, like that. And then this part up here, we're losing the R shape because it's getting so kind of distorted here. So I'm just going to take a bunch of these out.
Hmm.
Then this part probably needs to come further out. I'm going to take some of these points out as well. And then
Oh my gosh, it looks much better.
it's funny that I guess this would have to come further down. Yeah. Like that, and then redo that curve. Hmm. So you'd have to spend a little bit of time on it, but you could
Yeah.
refine that from here. I think you can make you definitely improve how that reads. This next letter is a C, right? So
Yeah.
again, this part again, I think should really be coming up, following at least closely, trying to reasonably closely follow that angle. So maybe this needs to come up now further. This can come up a little bit more. So it's kind of following that same angle here through here. And then here it gets too sharp. So I'm going to get rid of that point and pull this into more of a curve. This part can come higher up.
Oh my gosh, that's triple better.
And then this one is an E, right?
Yeah.
So
It's an
this bit,
imitation.
yeah. So here I would bring this part out. Let's get rid of like you've got like little details here that are just where it's been distorted.
Mhm.
This probably gets a little too far up here, so I'm going to bring this up. But this actually is a really good exercise in terms of what we're doing right now, because it's really about
Mhm.
making something which is a custom piece of type, which is totally what you're doing here.
Mhm.
Now,
Can I submit it as a assignment?
if only. But does that help a little bit?
Mhm.
Okay. So on the worksheet, actually, there is one that's kind of like this. So for the worksheet, you could probably put this one in. I want you to customize a piece of type from a basic font by adding
Mhm.
connections or something like that. So you'll just start off with a piece of type. It can say Choco or whatever you want. And then I
Mhm.
want you to modify the type to make it into something else. So this is an example
Mhm.
where basically what I'm doing is modifying, kind of like I was just doing now, drawing shapes over the top, connecting them together using Pathfinder, and so on.
And I
So
can
you,
pick any font, right?
yeah, and then um, so that's that one. And then type on a path. Do you know how to do type on a path?
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do
Always
it.
throwing me off because the point where you're rotating it always going here and there. So
I'm going to do one where I'll do a demonstration for you, putting type around a circle because
Mhm.
it's kind of useful to know how to do it.
Mhm.
So if I wanted to put like, you remember the old Starbucks logo? It would have the name that goes around the outside. You might be too
Mhm.
young.
Who doesn't like Starbucks, huh?
You what?
Who doesn't like Starbucks?
Right. Well, some people hate it, I think. Some people think it's an awful
Mhm.
corporation.
Oh, how did you get Starbucks
So,
headphone?
so I've typed it out and then I've also spaced it a little bit because
I'm
it's
sorry, I'll interrupt you, John.
uh,
I didn't know that Starbucks used to use
no, it isn't
Marriott Pro.
actually. That isn't their font. It's similar to it. I think it's Franklin Gothic actually. Oh, I don't have it. I don't have Franklin on here.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
that's
oh
so cool
no,
to know, you know?
Franklin. I think
I
it's
think the
Franklin
Franklin
Gothic.
Gothic.
I think it's
Yeah,
this
the
one.
Franklin Gothic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's this one.
So if I select this now, right now, by default, type is always left aligned. When you type, it types. So it's typing from this point and it's going left
Mm-hmm.
from this point. But I really want it to be centered. So if I do Shift Command C, that is the same
Someone.
as the same as going here. Look. So that's the same in all software. So if you're an Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, if you're aligning type, Shift Command L is left aligned, Shift Command C is centered, Shift Command R is right aligned, Shift Command J is justified. That means it's the same on both sides. So here, I actually want it at the top. So when you create a piece of type on a path like this, there's a handle here, which is a little bit difficult to see. But you see at the bottom there, there's a little red handle. If I grab that
Yeah.
and drag the type around to this position here, and because I've got smart guides, it tells me when I'm centered. All right. So now I've got it where I want. I actually want a piece of type at the bottom though. Now, if I just keep typing, it's going to be upside down. So I'm going to make another circle. I'm going to go to the center of here, and I'm going to drag out until I touch the cap height on the other letters. So I'll change that to a stroke so you can see it. And now if I
Mhm.
type onto this one, again, using type on a path,
Don't you have to lock the first layer?
this is actually all on one layer, but there are two paths. So there's one path here, which has got the word Starbucks on it, and there's
Huh?
one here, which has got coffee on it. Now I can drag this
Oh, because
handle.
it's bigger.
So
Okay.
this handle here is going to come around. I'm going to drag it around, but I'm also going to drag it inside.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have it on the outside or on the inside, but I want it on the inside. So the reason I typed it again on a separate layer is that on a separate path is that I can then have it line up the right way. And then I open the spacing a little bit more because as it's on the inside of the circle, it tends to squash the spacing more. Whereas on the outside of the circle, so this is on the outside of the circle, this is on the inside of the circle. This one wouldn't need as much leading, oh, sorry, as much tracking as this one would, because as it's on the inside, it's kind of squashing it further together. So to keep them looking similar, I would adjust the tracking so there's slightly more on the bottom. All right, but you could do type on a path. It could be a path that just goes like this. And actually, you'll notice, even if I'm on the regular type tool, if I put my
Mm-hmm.
cursor in the right position, it automatically does become type on a path. So I
Mm-hmm.
can just click and then type. So if I type in here, so if I want to move it around here now, there are 2 points at the beginning and the end, right? So if I try to move it right now, I won't be able to move it very far. In fact, I can't drag anywhere because the beginning and the end are right at the end. If I bring this one in to here, now if I click on it, I can drag the type to a different position. So I can move this handle and drag it further down here. You can see here it starts to disappear because there's not enough room right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also open this one further up and now I can see all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a little bit of space here at the end of this. So that's one of the exercises is type on a path. And then this is another way for you to think about modifying type. So this one, I'm starting off with a piece of type. And then I'm going to open the spacing up on this a little bit as well. And then I'm going to go to Object Rasterize. Do you know what the term rasterize means?
Like distort?
No, it actually means convert it to bitmap. So it's changing it from a vector
Mm.
into pixels. So it's making it into an
Okay.
image, basically. So the reason I'm doing
Okay.
this is I want to be able to apply Photoshop type filters to it. Like actually, specifically a blur filter to it. So
I see.
I'm gonna set it first of all. I'll make it grayscale, and I could adjust the resolution, but this will be fine. I do need to have a bit of extra space around the outside of the object so I can blur the image. So I'm going to set this to say 0.25 of an inch. So there's a quarter of an inch all the way around the outside of the image. And then I can go to effects. So the Photoshop effects here, I can now apply to this. And I can blur this a little bit.
For the Illustrator 26 version or
It's been in
all of them?
Illustrator for a long time, yeah. I don't
How
remember
come I
how
never seen that?
a long time. Yeah, I don't remember how long, but a while. And then I
Wow.
can go to at the top here now, you'll see there's a thing called image trace. The reason that you see that in the options bar is because I have an image selected. If I had a vector selected, you wouldn't see that.
Mm.
So now I can go to the pull down next to that image trace.
So image you got it after rasterizing?
Yeah. So you can only
Okay.
use image trace. What image trace does is it converts a bitmap into a vector. So in this case, we're
Okay.
converting it back into a vector, right? After we've applied the filter. So I'm going to choose silhouettes. So the reason I'm choosing this one is it will only give me the black shapes. If I was to choose black and white logo, visually it would be almost the same, but I would also have white around the outside and white in the holes in between the B and stuff. And I
Mhm.
just want the black shape. So if I choose silhouettes, what you'll end up with now is you'll end up with a sharp version of that blurred image.
Ooh.
And at this point, it isn't actually a vector. So it will look exactly like a vector. If I zoom in close, this is going to be totally sharp. So it looks like a vector, but it is actually still an image that I have selected. which has then had this applied. So if I go to this image trace options, I can still readjust the settings for this. So for instance, I might want to bring the threshold down so that there's less black and more white. It's taking a minute to change that. But you see how now it's still converting that blurred image into a sharp vector, but it's doing it with less black and more white, depending on that threshold.
Mhm.
I can also go to advanced and change the accuracy of it. So you might want to make it more accurate. Or you could make it, sometimes you actually want to make it less accurate because if you make it too accurate, it starts picking up the pixels along the edge and stuff. And then with the curves, I might also want to make that more accurate. And then once I'm happy with it, I'm happy with those settings, to make it literally into a vector, I can then click expand. So now this is a vector shape that I can select. And we can modify it now like
Mm.
any other vector. You can see that it's got a little bit of a wobble to it. So this isn't part of the exercise for the worksheet. You just need to do that for the worksheet. But if you
Okay.
wanted to clean that up, I could go to Object, Path, and I could choose Simplify, or I could choose Smooth. I'm going to try Simplify to begin with. So you can see now there's less anchor points being shown. And if I
Uh-huh.
went further this way, it would have less anchor points still. If I went further this way, it would be more complicated.
Mhm.
And if I was to choose path
Yes.
smooth, I can also adjust how smooth that shape is. So actually, I think in this case, the smooth setting is working better.
This is gonna be a pretty cool typeface for the kids chocolate bar.
Right, exactly. Yeah. There is actually a font that was designed in the early 90s by a designer called Blur, which is based off of this exact technique
Mm.
where he starts off blurring an image and then
Does it still
converting it back.
exist?
Yeah, it still exists. Yeah.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was by Neville Brody, I think. Uh, Blur font. Yeah, this one by Neville Brody. So that's how he made this. He's starting with like a regular font and then he's blurring it and then he's sharpening it again.
But this one is more like, I would say, it looks expensive. This particular blur, it doesn't give
So this
that
is
childish
he's
vibe.
starting with a different font.
Uh-huh.
You're right. Part of that is to do with it's not as bold. And part of
Mhm.
it is to do with this font has thins and thicks. So if you look at this part of it, it's thinner than this part of it. Whereas on the one I was doing, it was basically the same. So
Mhm.
this is his font
Okay.
also. It's part of that same
Mhm.
font family. But this one is a bolder version of it. And there it doesn't have that same sophistication.
Mhm.
So it is very subtle, those differences. Yeah, there's the font family, I think.
Mhm.
There's like
That's pretty
the
cool.
light one feels more sophisticated than the bold one. The bold one definitely feels like it'd be great for kids stuff
Yes.
because it's
And light
bubbly.
one I can even use for my chocolate bar.
Right. The bold one feels like it's bubbly, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So does that help?
Yes, actually, so much.
Okay, good. Do you have other questions for me?
Um, no, but I submitted couple of assignments,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
I'm gonna right now comment for two mood boards of the peers of my classmates.
Uh-huh.
So, and then you can grade it.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
I will own you only this one and
Uh-huh.
the upcoming one. So yes, and I think I will not be owning anything else.
Okay. And anytime you
Okay.
want to meet with me, if you have more questions, I'm happy to meet with students. Okay.
Thank you so, 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 so much. Thank
Oh, you're
you.
welcome. Do you mind if I share this video with the class because it might be useful
Oh,
for other students?
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Great. All right. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank
It
you
was
so
good
much.
talking to you.
Me too, and thank you so much for your support.
Okay, thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.